Good evening, every pony. It is I, Icy Knight, with Chapter 3 of Night Patrol by Fox Gear. Luna rounds another bend in the trail, coming to a flat open space, with yet more trails to climb. She checks the map, looking to see which of the 5 trails they need to take. The red line marks the planned path the 4 mare of Firehorn were supposed to have taken. They could have gone another way. Something could have drawn their attention and taken them off of course. From the map, Luna could see that many cave entrances were marked out, but who knew how many more were unmarked? This would be like finding a needle in a haystack. "How are you faring, Applejack?" Luna asked the earth pony as she rounds the bend. The orange mare looking exhausted from their climb. Not that Luna could blame her. A climb such like this would be hard for even a seasoned climber. Being weighed down with gear and armor, Applejack was doing well to keep pace with her. Applejack pants for breath as she sat down to rest, the higher altitude making the air thinner than the earth pony was used to. "I'm fine, Princess. I'm just a little winded." A brisk wind winds through the valley, making both mares shiver. "And chilly, can't forget that. At least my feathers are coming in, so my hooves should stay nice and toasty for a while." "Feathers?" Luna questions, turning to the orange mare with a raised brow. Applejack raised her foreleg and pointing to the blonde hairs growing on the base of her legs. "Yep. Feathers. My grandma was a Shire pony, runs in the family. Every time around winter, I start growing these here hairs in my legs and shed them in spring. Like I said, they're real toasty and soft as silk." Applejack demonstrated by rubbing her hoof along Luna's neck. "That is soft. I wonder if there's a spell that would allow me to grow feathers of my own," Luna muses. "A very handy gene to have in one's bloodline." "I'm jealous." The two share a laugh before becoming serious again. "On to more pressing matters. We need to choose a route, and I'm not sure if we can trust the map. The 4 mare could have taken an alternate path, and we could have gone the wrong way. We could wander up here for days and not find them if we take the wrong path. Couldn't you just fly up and look for them? It would be faster, and I could check one of the other trails while you're at it," Applejack suggests. Luna shakes her head. "I could, but the wind and clouds up here make it too hard to fly and conduct a search. Let us not forget, it's not just us and the 4 mare up here. The thieves are here as well, and we know nothing of their ability or numbers. I fear they are more clever than our last opponents. It's wiser to stay together." "I suppose you're right when you put it like that." Jack approaches the trail, carefully looking around the small mound of soft dirt that lay on the trail. "What are you doing?" Luna asked. "I'm looking for their trail, hoof prints and such, to see which way they might have gone. It's tough though, with all this hard rock around here, especially since the trail is already a few days old." "I see. I shall leave you to it then, since I have little experience in this field. You don't know how to track? Applejack says with surprise, wondering how some pony as long lived as Luna, who knew so many things, wouldn't know something as basic as tracking. Whatever the case, though, Luna nods in confirmation. She did not know how to track. Well, I suppose since she's teaching me stuff, I can do the same, only proper. Well, come over here, then, and I'll show you. Applejack waves. Luna bounds over to her with a spring of excitement in her step. The princess of the night was utterly focused as Applejack explains the basics of tracking and looking for signs of disturbed earth and other things. By the end of their little lesson, they deduce the foreman took the trail leading to the tallest part of the mountain and set off once again. The trail was rougher than the previous trail. In fact, it could hardly be considered a trail at all. At several points, Luna and Applejack had to jump from platform to platform to continue. A few times, Luna had to even fly them across, making the two wonder how the four men got across or if they had even taken this path at all. I think we might have guessed wrong, Luna said, as they climbed the last ridge up to the summit of the mountains. The map said there was once an old mine up here, but was long since abandoned. Applejack nods in agreement. You may be right, but we're already here, so we might as well check out and see if there's another path that leads down or something. Agreed. Luna leads the way, the wind roaring in her ears, making it hard to hear, which is why they probably didn't hear the commotion at the summit where the remnants of the former mining town stood. Both mares stare as a dozen or more dark-colored ponies with scales on their coats and leathery wings surrounded two stallions in similar armor to Luna and Applejack's. They were probably the four-man. One stallion was a tan unicorn with a short-cut blue mane, wearing shoulder and flank plate armor. The other was a big red earth pony with dark orange hair, wearing a scarf and shoulder armor. The two stood flank to flank, facing opposite directions, both looking worse for wear. Covered in cuts and bruises, the earth stallion's right eye had a large cut over it with blood running down his face. One of the creatures they were fighting charges at them, right in the earth pony's blind spot. The unicorn's horn glows, and a rock connects with the creature's skull. Meanwhile, the earth pony sidesteps and stops another creature with a stomp to the temple, protecting the unicorn's exposed flank. The creatures backed off as the two stallions realigned themselves as they were covering each other's flanks. Their teamwork and defense is nearly flawless. I haven't seen anything like this in years. Then it took note of the attacking creatures' conditions, and many of them were sporting wounds of their own. A few looked like they had broken legs, yet they still fight. Why? Better yet, what are they? They look like bat ponies, but they live in the caves far in the east. Bat ponies also don't have scales. These ponies look more like pony dragons than anything. Wait a minute, could they be Rinin. Applejack, with me! Luna orders, charging towards the circle of Rinin. As Princess of the Night, we order you all to stand down now! Luna demands, her canterlot voice raised to its fullest volume. Both sides stumble to a halt as the two mares rush in, taking a position beside the stallions. The Rinin cautiously began to back away from the four, and then they all unfolded their wings and swarmed into the sky, roaring as they circled once around the four and then retreated into the nearby caves, leaving the four ponies standing alone in the abandoned town. That was weird. Reckon you scared them off, Princess? Applejack inquired as she kept an eye on the caves in case it was a ruse to throw them off guard. Luna frowns, feeling uncertain about the situation. I don't know, Applejack. A raindrop fell from the sky, thunder roaring in the distance. A storm was rolling in, and fast. Whatever the cause, we must seek shelter. One of the buildings should suffice for now. As Luna began to walk away, she noticed the two stallions remain rooted where they stood. They look uncertainly at her. What is wrong? Come with us to shelter so we can better acquaint with one another. The first stallion scratches his head with his hoof as he pulls a piece of hay from the folds of his scarf. Sorry, ma'am. Just thought I'd see a princess all the way up here. It's taken a little bit of process. The unicorn rolls his eyes. What my brother means, it is a pleasure to meet you, Princess Luna, and Applejack, was it? We'd be happy to join. I'm Toughhide, by the way. This big brute is my, quote, twin brother, Rawhide. I was going to be introducing myself, Tough, Rawhide says irritably. I'm just saying it's not every day you see a princess on top of a mountain and scare off a bunch of nasty critters with nothing but her voice. I'd always figured, and I mean no offense when I say, I thought you'd be up in that fancy city of Canterlot all the time, figuring y'all be too busy running things to come all the way out here yourselves. The rain began to pour down, soaking the four ponies instantly. Luna sighs as her mane dampens and sags down to the muddy ground. That's just great! Yes, we are on a mountain. Now can we please go to that shelter over there? She points to one of the last sturdier stable buildings. Agreed, replied the brothers, as they all made a mad dash for the building, which happened to be the town motel. It was a two-story building, half made of wood. How they ever found enough up here was beyond any of them. And the other half was carved out of a connecting boulder. The stone parts were where the kitchen and storehouses were located. The second story was a long hallway with 4 rooms with old ratty beds inside. The front of the hotel was for dining. There was nothing edible left in the storehouse, but there was some coal and flint with some oil. Eager to dry off, they lit the fire in the iron stove, while Luna and Applejack shared what little food they had on them, some cheese, a few carrots, and of course apples. Rawhide was making his way through a Granny Smith apple when he asked, So what brings you two all the way up here? I doubt you came all the way up here just for us. Actually, it is just that, Applejack answers, causing the two brothers to pause in the middle of their meal. You can't be serious. Why would y'all do that? I'm sure they would have their reasons, brother, Tough Hide interjects, running a glare from his brother. Luna clears her throat, breaking out their fight. We originally came to get a contract for some armor, but after hearing of your town's problem, I decided that we needed to lend a hoof and come up to look for you and discover what creatures were plaguing the town. I must say, I was rather surprised. You know what those things are, Luna? Applejack asked. They look like Pegasus. Well, more like monster Pegasus. Taking a deep breath, Luna prepares herself. I thought they were only a myth, but the creatures you fought today are called Rinin. They are dragon pony hybrids. Dragon ponies? Rawhide interrupts, disbelieving. You can't be serious. Dragons have such a huge, and ponies are so small. Either way, I don't see that working. While perhaps teenage dragons, they are closer to pony size, Tough Hide suggests, though I don't think, even if such a strange mating did happen, I doubt happens enough to have that many of these Rinin flying around. If so, we would have run into them much sooner than we have. Our clans have been in these mountains for generations, and now we have no record or even scary stories of such creatures. Aren't your kin really friendly with the dragons, though? Applejack asked, thinking back to what Laura had told them earlier. Tough Hide shook his head. Being in business with dragons isn't the same as being friendly. We barely speak with them, let alone mate with them. Besides, no pony could hide such a thing for very long without some pony noticing, especially in such a small town like ours. Good point, Applejack says. Luna rubs her temple fiercely. We are getting off track. As I was saying, Rinin are dragon pony hybrids that were thought to be a myth, may I remind you. Given the proof I've seen with my own eyes, we all know that they are in fact not a myth. That being said, we know nothing about Rinin. But given what we do know, I think I know why they are stealing from the village. You do? The brothers asked in unison, Luna nodding as she went into what she calls Celestia's lecture mode. Yes, now, as we know, dragons eat gems and ponies eat fruit, vegetables, etc. Since gems and fruit were being stolen, we can assume that Rinin eat both gems and normal pony food. It's hard to say how their biology works, but they must need both to get the nutrients they need for both sides of their genes. But why steal? Why not ask or trade for the gems or grow their own food? Tough Hide asked. They may not have anything to trade, and like Pegasus, they may not know how to grow food, nor can they mind like Earth and unicorns can. Besides, if a group of them wandered into your town, what say you wouldn't be afraid of their appearances? There must be a reason they're up here, and I'm afraid to think of what it is. Luna looks out the window to the moon, finding comfort in its presence, even if she couldn't see it through the storm. Let us rest. I can cast a spell that will alert us if anything tries to enter this building while we sleep. Together, we go into the caves and resolve this matter. They seem to have intelligence, meaning we should be able to come to a favorable agreement. And what if they're just mindless beasts? Rawhide asked. What will we do then? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, all you go get some sleep. Well, get some sleep. I will join you upstairs after I secure our location. The two stallion brothers said their goodnights and trot up the stairs, their heavy hoof beats making a lot of racket on the wooden floor. Luna's horn pulling as she begins casting her spell. As she worked, she took note that Applejack hadn't moved. Is there something I can help you with, Applejack? The orange mare rubs her growing feathers nervously, looking away from the princess. I don't know, Luna. I'm just worried is all. What if we can't reason with these Rinin? What will we do with them? They're hurting so many lives, but they're just trying to survive like every pony else. I don't want to hurt them, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, Applejack, what a kind heart, Luna thought. Luna walks over and wraps her leg around Applejack and hugs her. She's such a brave and mature pony that I forgot how young and inexperienced she truly is sometimes. I won't lie, Applejack. It is a real possibility that we may have to fight them. But rest assured, I will do what I have to make sure it doesn't come to that. Don't make promises you can't keep, Luna, a voice whispers in the back of her mind. Now go and rest. I will join you shortly. Okay, see you in the morning. Applejack yawns and trots up to the stairs. Her hooves much quieter than the brothers. Luna appreciates the mercy on her ears as she finishes her spell, using her wings to fly silently up the stairs and enters the last remaining room. The bed wasn't anywhere near as comfortable as her bed back at the castle, but it was still a little bit better than the floor. Not by much, though. She sighs as she folds her wings to lay down. She felt warmth of something nearby and grabs onto it, pulling it close. So nice and warm. When Luna woke up, she realized two things. One, the sun was up and the moon was gone, which meant Celestia had lowered it for her. And two, she was holding Applejack like she was a teddy bear. How in the question did this happen? I was certain this room was empty. Carefully not to disturb the sleeping orange mare, Luna unwraps her forelegs from Applejack's neck and begins to slowly ease herself out of the bed. I'm not sure what I'm so embarrassed about. We are both mares and friends, but yeah, I got nothing. No, wait. Awkward. Yes, this is awkward, and it will be even more awkward if she wakes up and I'm still here. Just as Luna was close to being home free, Applejack threw her hooves around her neck and snuggled in Luna's mane. Oh, moon pies! Could they get any worse? The sound of hooves against wood made Luna aware that the Hyde brothers were awake. Sorry, Applejack. Clearing her throat, Luna prepares her Wake Up Celestia voice, or as Celestia nicknamed it, the Canterlot voice from hell. Taking a deep breath, Luna unleashes her secret weapon. It's time to wake up, Applejack! Rise and shine! Gah! Was Applejack's response as she flew 10 feet into the air, giving Luna the few precious seconds she needs to get out of bed and play innocent. Meanwhile, in Canterlot. Princess Celestia, please wake up. You are 2 hours behind schedule. A pony with the watch on his flank yells at the Princess of the Sun, who simply covers her ears with her pillow and mumbling, 5 more minutes, and then fell back to sleep. You said that 3 hours ago. Back on the mountain. After a light breakfast of oats, Luna, Applejack, and the 2 brothers made their way to the caves. Applejack was still reeling from Luna's wake-up call. When asked why she did it, Luna replied, "We were in a mood for a prank, and it seemed rude to pull one on ponies we just met yesterday." Friends are for a game, however. The 3 bought her excuse, and Luna promised not to wake Applejack in such a manner again, though the Princess of the Night would be sleeping with one eye open for a while. Applejack may not seem like the revenge type, but after years of Celestia's counter pranks, she wasn't taking any chances. "We are here," Tough Hide announces, drawing Luna out of her complex counter plans to whatever Applejack may or may not be planning. The cave entrance was one of the old mine shafts. Rotting timbers held up the ceiling. Several lanterns remained swung gently on iron hooks, and a busted railway ran in the center with a few mine carts on the track filled with dirt and rocks. "Charming, isn't it?" Luna said jokingly. "Our great uncle died in this mine," Rawhide informs them, causing an awkward cricket chirping moment. Luna coughs, passing a sideways glance at the cricket to shut up. Once it complied, she summoned a ball of light on the tip of her horn and walks into the mine shaft. "Let us be off now and get this over with. We need to make the townsfolk worry longer, and they have no right." The other 3 nod and follow her into the darkness. It was dark, all right, the light of Luna's horn barely lighting their way. Sometimes one of them almost set their hooves down on some pointy, rusty objects long abandoned. As they traveled deeper, coming across a few old miner shacks, places for miners to store goods and tools, and from the looks of them, they were recently used. The beds were made with somewhat clean sheets, and food was in the cold room. Rawhide approaches a tool area, inspecting the picks and shovels, which were all well cared for. But what really held his interest was a big iron box with "Danger" written in red on it. "Are those I think they are?" Tough Hide asks, inspecting the box for himself. "They are indeed," Rawhide replies. "Open it up, Tough." As Tough began working his magic on the locks, Applejack and Luna enter the room. "What are you 2 up to?" Applejack asks, a little unnerved by the amount of sharp, pointy objects in the room. "Some pony could get hurt in here." "Getting some insurance will go along with your peace plan, but in case things go south, we want What's in this here box for protection? Rawhide answers. Just as Tough got the last lock off. And just what is that insurance? Luna asked, making her way over to the box for a closer look, her jaw dropping from what she saw. Rows and rows of short red sticks. Is this dynamite? Tough finishes for her, placing a dozen sticks in his saddlebag. This batch is a bit old, but it should still have some pop to it. You find any flint, Rawhide? Yup. The red stallion replies, holding his hoof up and showing off the flint and steel brace that now adorn his leg. Luna looks worriedly between the two stallions. Is this really necessary? You could bring the whole mine down on our heads. We know, Princess. Trust us now. We are miners after all, Rawhide reminds her. We know how to dig a mine and how to bring it down. This here dynamite is just to make sure those creatures don't try to swarm us. I'm sure they like living just as much as we do. I suppose the magic blast could do just as well. But there are certain stones down here that can neglect magic. So this makes for good backup. Luna frowns. She once again thought back to those stone cyclops she had fought. There are anti-magic stones down here? Rawhide raises a brow at the question. Where else do you get stones? Though I suppose you could make them with your magic or something. You can do that, right, Princess? No, that's more alchemy than magic, Rawhide said. Rawhide just shrugs and walks out of the tool shack, Applejack following behind him. I suppose that's enough TNT. Shall we get going, Princess? Rawhide asked as he locks the iron box. Luna nods, and they re-enter the tunnel. The four continued down the dark tunnel. It was eerie to say the least. There was no sound other than the sound of their own hooves. For all the Rinin they saw yesterday, they expected to see at least one of the creatures by now. They have been traveling for almost 2 hours, maybe longer. It was hard to tell down here. I still feel the sun in the sky, so it's still daytime. I'm worried with those three and these cramped tunnels. I won't be able to fight to my fullest. Hopefully the Rinin prove to be reasonable. Or rather, we not fight, but if they are just trying to survive, then what will we do with them after this? Could they live in town? Will the town accept them? Will any pony accept them? Luna wonders. The three tribes' relations were still strained. Sure, there were a few towns where two of the three of the tribes managed to work together, but not all three. None as far as Luna knew. In fact, Luna couldn't even list any towns or clans that all three tribes lived in harmony. The three tribes may have formed a kingdom together, but the ponies were still divided. Look up ahead, a light, Applejack points, knocking Luna out of her musing. At the end of the tunnel was a beam of sunlight pouring down from the ceiling. It must be the junction, the center point of the mine. It's where all the tunnels in the mine connect, Rawhide explains as they exit the tunnel and into a large open chamber. It was dark save for the light from above, and also the hundreds of glowing eyes from the surrounding tunnels. I think we found 'em. Indeed we have, Luna whispers. You three stay here. I will speak with them. I'm going with you, Applejack insists firmly, standing next to the princess. Rather than fighting with a stubborn mare, Luna simply smiles and allows Applejack to accompany her. The orange mare proving to be good luck in their last adventure, perhaps the same will happen here. We got your backs. Besides, I doubt we'd be welcome sight for them, Toughhide said as he and Roundhide took a position at the tunnel entrance, making sure to stay in the darkness of the tunnel. They had a couple of sticks of dynamite ready and waiting in case things went south. Luna only hopes their preparations wouldn't stir the Rinins into a frenzy. Walking to the center of the junction, Luna adjusts her voice for the echo of the caves. She didn't want to think her greeting was an attack. Hello, ponies of this cave. I am Princess Luna, ruler of the night. I have come here to speak to you of your actions against the town of Firehorn. Your thievery is hurting the ponies there and it needs to stop. I wish to discuss how we can resolve this matter in peace. From the shadows, one of the other tunnels, a large Rinin stallion emerged. He stood as tall as Luna. His coat was gray, while his scales were silvery blue. His eyes were blue. He slowly walks towards Luna and Applejack, stopping about 5 feet away. When he spoke, there was rumbling in his voice. I am Sixes. I'm the leader of these ponies. Sixes? Like the number? Applejack blurts out, causing Luna to cringe, thinking negotiations had already failed. It happened before. It turns out foreign leaders get really offended if you pronounced their name, or you think it sounds funny. Before Luna could start yelling for Rawhide and Toughhide to light the fuses, Sixes started chuckling. Yes, little pony. Like the number, or 6666 to be more precise. However, that gets to be a mouthful, so ponies have just called me Sixes. Now, I believe we have more serious matters to discuss, Sixes said, turning his attention to Luna. I believe you're here about our borrowing of the town's supplies. Indeed. You must know what you are doing is wrong and the danger you are putting the town in. Surely we can come to a peaceful solution. Sixes frowns. If it were that easy, Princess, we would have done it, but it is complicated. How so? If you are willing, we can go to town and can resolve this and maybe even make it so you don't have to steal food anymore. We might even be able to speak with the dragons. You being Rinin, they might be willing to take you in. Sixes frowns his brow in confusion. Rinin? What is that? Why would dragons want anything to do with us? Luna and Applejack look at each other, and then to the two brothers who shrug, not knowing what to say. Luna spoke again. You are Rinin, correct? Half dragon, half pony? Or are you bat ponies? More Rinin emerge out of the tunnels of all shapes, sizes, and colors, from foals to full-grown adults. They chattered excitedly amongst each other before Sixes raised his hoof for silence. We don't know what you're talking about, Princess. I don't remember much of my past, or my parents. In fact, I only remember waking up in this cave 3 or 4 months ago. It's the same for all of us. Six's turns. So his flank was showing. On his flank was 6666, where his cutie mark should have been. We don't know our real names or even what we are. All we know is we woke up here and we all have a number on our flank. This is, I don't know what this is, but making sense isn't one of them. How could so many ponies not know who or even what they are? In fact, how can they all have numbers for cutie marks? After Six's big reveal, Luna asked if they could inspect more of the Rinin, or wherever they were, to verify his story. Sixes agreed, and soon a long line of ponies was before Luna. Each and every one of them told the same story. There were some variations, like some ponies said having wings didn't feel right, or they felt something was missing. The most disturbing part was their cutie marks. It was like some pony had branded them. Luna saw numbers from 0014 to 0711, and even numbers as high as 9413. However, despite that, there were only 150 ponies in the cave. Satisfied, Luna regroups with Applejack and the brothers, who have long since put away the TNT, thankfully. Applejack got straight to the point. Well, what are we going to do with them? Luna sighs as she looks at them all. Rawhide, Toughhide, do you think they could stay in town? They could work for their meals and lodging. Toughhide shook his head. Sorry, Princess, but the town can't support 150 more ponies. At least not all at once. We could take in 20 tops. But anymore, and we've run out of supplies and room for them. They could stay up here or in other caves. That still leaves the food issue and the fact that there's not enough of it. They eat more gems than we can mine, even with their help. Then there is the safety issues that come into play with inexperienced miners. Can't you open up a new mine just for them? Applejack suggested. This time Rawhide spoke. We could, but we'd have to find a vein of gems first, and that's hit or miss even with spells. Also, to open up another mine, we'd have to go through the dragons first, and they want their share, which is 60%. And at that rate, digging a mine just for them to eat wouldn't be profitable. But with all of the tools and equipment and rails we'd have to set up for, you have to remember, mining is our livelihood, and as much as I want to help, our workers have to eat and support themselves too. Well, shoot. What are we supposed to do then? Applejack curses, stomping her hoof. We take them with us, Luna declares softly, causing Applejack and the brothers to stare at her. We take them back to the castle with us, Applejack. There are caves in the Everfree behind the castle, and we can build more shelters for them. They don't just eat gems, so we can feed them what we can. I'm sure there is something near the castle where they could dig for gems. The rocky area to the north may have some gems tucked away if the diamond dogs haven't found them. Applejack, Rawhide, and Toughhide all stare at her with their mouths wide. What, is there something on my face? Applejack shook her head and deciding since she was the princess's friend, should be the one to talk to her about her decision. Pulling the alicorn into a secluded tunnel, Applejack spoke. You really want to bring all these ponies back to the castle? Applejack held up her hooves, stopping Luna's retort short. Look, it's your castle, and I can't stop you from doing this if you want. But you want to do. But what are these ponies going to do there? Hide in the woods? That's no way to live, Luna. Folks might take them as some new monster or something. Luna exhales deeply. I know how they look, Applejack. They're different. Normal ponies will fear them. But I believe there is a way they can win. Win the love and respect they needed to fit in. What are you talking about, Luna? The Princess of the Night walks towards the edge of the tunnel, looking out at the massive ponies and back to Applejack with a coy smile. Well, I did say I need ponies to join my night patrol, and I see 150 ponies that could fill the ranks very nicely. You mean... Yes, Applejack. Say hello to your new comrades. Luna said as she walks into the light, raising her voice for all to hear. Ponies who dwell in this cave, I have an opportunity for you. You may refuse it, but I urge you to hear me out. I have a duty to protect all ponies from the dangers of the night, and it is a task too big for even I to do alone. So I ask you to join me, to fight for me, for Equestria, to fight against the evil of the night. The road ahead will be difficult. Ponies will fear you for your appearances, but over time they will respect you for your actions. Now what say you? Will you join me? The wren chattered, some fearful, some uncertain, while others were filled with hope and a sense of purpose. After over an hour of debate, Sixes stepped forward and knelt before Luna. We will follow you, Princess Luna. Luna smiles and places her hoof on his shoulder. Very well. From this point on, you ponies shall be known as the Shadow Bolts.